You know I'm setting up the cameras, don't you? She goes, oh, maybe I'll get some broccoli. Maybe I will. Okay, let's go do this. She goes, let's go. We've got stuff to do. Why, hello, everybody. It's Robbie from Southern California. And today I'm going to do, I guess you would say a tour, but not really a tour, an update on what's going on my deck. Because I know a lot of you have small spaces to grow in, be it a balcony, a deck, a patio, just a tiny little area. You know, you can grow so much food on a deck. Here come the goldfinches. They want to eat my lettuce. We'll get over there in a minute. This is really a small deck. And the way it's set up, and a lot of you have seen it before, is I've got this table that Gary found in the trash, but you can sit up on chairs, and we'll get to that in a moment. Then I've got these upside down planters I bought a while ago. They were like $2.50 or $5. They were really cheap. They were being blown out at Walmart. They're really not that good, so don't get excited. So look at this. They're so shallow. But I have added pots to it to bring it lift, and that's how I'm growing all the walking onions. There's just so much you can grow on a deck, a patio. There's a lot of food. There's really more food here than we need, but it's here and we love it and we use it. And look at the Brad's tomatoes. Unbelievable. The plant is so stressed. So many times I've gone to pull it out. The leaves are so bad, but it keeps throwing tomatoes and throwing tomatoes, maybe because it's stressed. So for now, we'll leave it. So let's walk around. Let's talk about what you can grow in a small space. A lot of people have this mindset that you have to grow in the ground. Let me tell you something. It is easier to grow in a container than it is in the ground. Oh, I know you people that are growing in the ground and are going to say no, no, no. Like Gary has told me no, no, no. He's growing in containers too now. My daughter, who grows on the ground, adamant. I don't watch her videos. I grow on the ground. She just started gardening last year. She's got so much stuff. Yeah, she doesn't watch my videos. She's sprouting seeds in plastic bags wrapped in cardboard. She's got totes now all over her yard. She informed me the other day she's got so many caterpillars in her garden that she went and got herself a solar water fountain to put in the yard. Okay, and I say, gee, I'm doing all that. And she's so funny. She'll go, I don't know, maybe the kids put the video on. I might have heard something. And that will help get rid of her caterpillars. Because as you saw when I stepped out here, the goldfinches were trying to come in here. We've got some other birds that have got a nest right now. A Pacific slope flycatcher has got a nest, her third nest, under the deck. And she's been coming through here and picking out little caterpillars. The birds will work for you, even if you're on a balcony or a deck. This is a balcony. I mean, and it's a deck, but it's a balcony. It's up in the air. They'll work for you. So you can grow a lot. A lot of questions I get is, what should I grow? With everything going on this year, it's a very different year. I'm really trying to grow what we really like, not just play around with things just because. I like squash and zucchini. Look at this. Look how beautiful this is. I just planted this. Look at that. Now, that was supposed to be a zucchini. It's round, but you know what? It doesn't matter. I've noticed a lot of seeds, even when they say heirloom, are kind of growing in their own fashion now, and that's okay. They're edible. They're fine. This is a bucket. Let me show you. It's a 5-gallon bucket. You can grow in a bucket. If you don't have totes, I've been getting my totes from Walmart because I'm not going to the store these days. I usually get them at the thrift stores for anywhere from $2 to $4. Well, I'm getting them from Walmart now for $5, brand new. And I've even figured out things I can do with the lids, because normally I don't get lids. But if you don't want to buy a tote, and you don't have the money to buy it, or you don't want to grow in a tote, you can grow in buckets. There's a lot of things you can do with buckets. Now, with a bucket, it is a little different. You really want to grow one plant because of the surface space. See the surface space? Boy, there's a lot of squash in there. See the space in there? It's really tough to get into it. I would say the best thing as far as a large plant to grow in a bucket would be tomatoes, because tomatoes will go up. But I'm going to do squash here because I happen to love zucchini. Zucchini is my favorite squash because I can use that for so many things. I put it in my flour if I'm making pancakes. It becomes part of the flour. I put it in my blender and blend it up to make zucchini bread. It becomes part of the flour. I grate it up and put it into all kinds of food I'm making, whether it's enchiladas or lasagna or just anything. I blend it up and put it in the rice. I chop it up. There's so many things you can do with it, and it takes over the flavor. If you're a meat eater and you like ground meat, you want to make tacos, you can get your taco meat, let's say your pork, your beef, your ground chicken, to go much further. If you grate up zucchini and mix that in with your meat, you'll have half and half. So you'll be actually eating, let's walk around a little bit. You'll be actually eating half meat and half vegetables. And I do that too. And you can't really taste it. The zucchini is like the old-fashioned soy years ago. Everybody was using soy because they said soy disappeared in the meat. Well, that's what the zucchini does. It becomes really it doesn't take on its own flavor. It becomes part of whatever you're eating. So that's why I like zucchini. The other reason, let me step back and show you my zucchini because I really like it, my squash. Instant gratification. If you are growing a garden for the first time and you want to start really growing things, I would say grow greens like kales and broccolis, because remember, use the broccoli leaves, tomatoes, zucchini. Yes, you can grow butternut squash and spaghetti squash and all kinds of table squashes and winter squashes, but that is not instant gratification. You literally have to wait months and months for that. And we are growing a lot. We will be storing a lot this year to use, because I don't know what's going to be as the year goes on. But with zucchini, you have it right away. I had zucchini growing within 3 weeks. We were picking zucchini and we haven't stopped picking it every single day. So things that are instant gratification, things you don't have to wait till they mature. Lettuce. Now this is lettuce that's gone to seed, but I keep growing lettuce. Lettuce is instant gratification. Your Swiss chard, your walking onions. You're going to eat all kinds of the walking onions. You're going to eat the greens. You can eat the little bulbs. You can even eat the little babies that pop up. These little onions, if you were going to put it in a salad or a soup or a stir fry. I like to plant the little onions, but you can eat the whole thing. That is instant gratification. Garlic chives. Eggplant even, once it starts to grow, you can pick it at any stage because you don't want to wait till it turns yellow. It's bitter at that point. So I've got an eggplant growing up here now. Mint, instant gratification. You pick that, and I have a big tub of mint here. The reason I dedicated this year to, this is peppermint, is I can come out here in the morning, pick a whole bunch, drop it in some hot water, and add it to my coffee, and my coffee is so minty and tastes good. Or I can come out here in the middle of the night if I feel like having a mint tea and just pick it. I don't have to go into the garden and deal with raccoons or possums or deer or whatever. I could just step out on my balcony and I can take mint. I'm growing radishes. That's instant gratification. I just planted these. Look at that. We've already got radishes growing. Let me see if you can see in there. We have radishes, instant gratification. Celery, you can pick that at any stage. I use the leaves. Parsley, you use that right away when it starts to grow. So when you think about certain things that you have to wait for, that's why I say your winter squash you'll have to wait for. Plant that also if you like winter squash. Go ahead and plant it, but plant something you can use right away, because there's nothing better than planting a seed, watching it grow, and starting to eat right away. You don't have to wait. So you can wait for some things, and then other things you eat now. Let's walk around and see what's going on and what I'm going to change and what I haven't gotten to yet. So you see my bucket, and this is squash, and as soon as it gets a little size on it, I'm going to pick it because I also make pickles out of that. So good. They grow better here than cucumbers, but I've got cucumbers too. Now these two containers came from the way it was set up last year. I've got a few more onions left in there. This is going. This is a no-no. You do not leave any container sitting on wood, because wood will go back to nature. So I don't want it to rot out. I'm about ready to move it. I just haven't done it yet. Oh, that's a compost bucket. We'll get into that in a minute. That's not supposed to be there. No holes on the bottom. Yes, I've got a hummingbird buzzing around my head, and I'll tell you why in a second. Pomegranates. I don't want that there. That's going into the garden somewhere. And I need to do a video on that because so many people ask me about how to grow pomegranates. Stupid simple. I can't even get rid of them. We'll do a whole video on that and not waste your time here. Now these are tomatillos back here. Let me see if we can get back here. Now when you leave them in a clump like that, a lot of times they won't grow unless a lot of them start to die out. I've got to get rid of all my yarn. Yarn is wonderful. Last year's yarn, it doesn't break down. I love yarn in the garden. So I can separate all these. It's just little tomatillos that fell in here and the seeds are all growing. So I need to move this. I have not done anything in here. So this has to be redone. Same thing here, haven't done anything yet. This is Dinosaur Kale. Now I didn't plant this, but these came up from seed. These are not cuttings. And then there's Swiss chard and of course lettuce here. It came up from here. This was a cutting that I brought over. And see the seed heads are pretty much gone, but that's the seed heads. And while the birds were eating them, they would be falling. And they were falling in here, so I have quite a few Dinosaur Kale now that have come up from seed. I want to get those moved out. I really like when they come up from seed like that. So I'm going to move those out. Let's see what's down here. Again, haven't done a whole lot yet down here. There's some lavender. You'll see Swiss chard coming up. More mint. Mint I'm going to dedicate to their own containers because I don't want their root system to take over other things I'm growing. They do take over and then they draw water and nutrients away from other plants. But that's good. That's chocolate mint. This I just have to move and do something with. They're growing in these milk and soup containers and they're easy to just drop into its own pot. So I'm going to do something with that. You saw the walking onions. These are all baby walking onions and I've got to get a lot of these transplanted. It's a little early yet, but I have done it even at this stage if I had to. If the stalk dried out, I could plant these. There's 3 bulbs up here. I could plant them and they would grow. But right now they're going to grow more on the top. They're actually sending out some more shoots on the top. So they're going to try to grow more walking onions on the top. More lettuce that is going to seed. I'm going to cover some of it with tulle because I do want to save my lettuce seeds. The goldfinches come in and they love it. See, this is, let me show you the seeds. Okay, I don't think I can do it one-handed, but I might be able to. Let me see. No, can't really. Yeah, there's one seed there. The seed will fall and grow naturally, but I want to get a lot of lettuce growing and I want to save some seeds. So I'm going to cover just a few. I'll let them eat some. They grow thousands and thousands of lettuce seeds there. So I'll save a few and then I'll plant some and let the birds have more too. And then this is, well, we know this is green Swiss chard. I might let this go to seed because I have no red Swiss chard on the deck flowering. So this will be pure. There's nothing here. And I like green Swiss chard better than red. So does Gary. This was left over. This is asparagus. So I want to take the plant out. There's the plant in here. It's going to have a crown in there. I want to get that out and I might give it its own tote and let it spread and grow a lot of asparagus. It's from Gary's purple asparagus. He gave me some seeds and I sprinkled them in. He dug them all up. He planted them in his garden, but he missed one. So I've had asparagus growing here. So I'm going to get that up. Again, I haven't really done anything here. All along here, nothing yet. I see the Malabar spinach is starting to come up on its own in there. Those little things, the reddish leaves down there, that is Malabar spinach. It's going to take off and grow all up these tomato stakes. That's what it did last year and it will do its thing. And then I've got green sorrel. That's green sorrel. And this is parsley that has gone to seed, which is good because I want to collect that seed too. So I will probably tulle a little bit. Tulle is that fabric I use, kind of a nylon type fabric. It lasts for over a year in the garden. And the birds cannot get stuck to it. It's got very tiny holes, so if they land on it, they can pull their nails out. Bird netting. Oh, here's some tulle. See, I'm covering this because something's been chewing on this, and I know it isn't kitty. This is a broccoli. Here, we can uncover it. And then I can talk about a little bit more about tulle if you haven't seen my other videos on it. Okay, something's been chewing on this. See, it's making a good comeback now. Look at the leaves. It could be a towhee. I've got a towhee that collects greens for its babies and let it go into the garden and get something there. I don't want it to eat this. But I wanted it to grow back, so I put the tulle around it, and it is making a comeback. It's just I guess a seed that came up. See how fine this is, the tulle? It's very fine. the birds cannot get their whole toe stuck in it. They land on this, they go right off of it. If their nail gets stuck, they can just, pull on their foot and their nail comes right out. Bird netting has got much larger holes. And they actually use bird netting in some countries to trap birds. Because what happens is with bird netting is they actually slip their whole toe and foot into the netting, especially the tiny birds. Their toe and foot gets completely stuck in the netting, and as they pull, it gets woven in, and then they can't get out. And if you're not home, if they get woven into it, they'll perish in the sun until you get home. With this, I have never had a bird get stuck because it's just too fine. They just go out. The other thing, of course, that the rodents don't like the feel of it. Neither do cats. And you can keep a lot of insects out this way and keep the butterflies out from laying eggs on your plants. You can't keep the caterpillars out if the eggs are already there. You're just going to protect the caterpillars from the birds if you've already got eggs there. So it's funny, but I love my tool. So anyways, we'll come back to that. So let's see, over here, garlic chives. Love my garlic chives. You know how I like that? Instant gratification. It grows right away and you start using it in whatever you want to put garlic. And look at, oh no, are you flowering? No, it's not flowering. It's gonna, you know what, it might flower. This is my dill. I want to get more dill going because I'm making a lot of pickles out of zucchini. I've got so much zucchini. And as fast as I make it, Gary eats it. More garlic chives. And then here are apple trees. I dropped some seeds in there and they took off. This is Sow Thistle. And the birds love this. So for now, I'm just leaving this for the birds. See, here's some more. This is Sow Thistle. See, it grows very much like lettuce. They come here and they pick the seeds out. And the hummingbirds actually use this to line their nest with. It's like a cotton. I've seen them bring mouthfuls back and line their nest and make it nice and soft for their eggs and babies. But that's for the hummingbirds. But the goldfinches actually eat the seeds that are inside. See, those are seeds inside. So that's what they come for. So I leave a little bit of that for them. Because I do want the birds in my garden. It's a balance. It all works out good. Okay, this is my tricolored sage. This is from last year. Isn't that gorgeous? Use that for my pizza. This is more lettuce. I sprinkle lettuce seeds everywhere. So I've got lettuce coming up everywhere. Oh, look at this. I planted a tomato in a cup. See, the roots are coming through the bottom. And I'm not sure where to put it yet. So right now I just leave it here. But when I go to plant it, I'm going to leave it in the cup. Just pop the bottom off. Can you believe that? Look at that. I didn't even know that. A worm. They love being on their pots. You really need a layer if you're doing containers. Layering is the best thing in the world. And that is a form of layering, even with one little cup. But I'm going to pop the bottom off and then just stick it in the ground whenever I decide where I'm going to put it. Tomatoes coming up. They're just coming up straight in here. A lot of them weren't even supposed to be there. I'm going to leave them and see what happens. Watermelons. It's easier to do without gloves. I'm going to tear the bottom out of that one. I'm going to tear the bottom out of this. Paper cups, look at the roots on the bottom. There's a seam. I'm going to start the seam a little bit. That's all I'm going to do. We got one. We're going to put in here. I'm going to just leave it in the cup. And we're going to bury it. We're not going to do anything else. Bury it in the cup. Same thing here. I'm going to leave it in the cup. I'm going to bury the whole cup. Plant doesn't even know it's been moved. I don't know if I want to put a Korean melon in here. This might be too much. Let's hold off on the Korean melon. I think I've got some wood chips. And all I have to do is really water in the cup. A little bit around it. Water in the cup. That's it. And since I brought up some sifted wood chips, I'll put some sifted wood chips around the top. You could use dried leaves, grass clippings. You could use weeds that you've crushed up, not the seeds. Use anything you want. I think I put this one a little too deep. There we go. Pull the cup pop up a little bit. Look how easy it is. Just change it around. Yeah, I'm going to do 2 in case one doesn't make it. And if they both make it, I'm going to feed it really good. Yes, we're not going to put the Korean melon in, because I want to put this here. This is a compost system, and I can throw all kinds of trash in here. I don't have to open it anymore. I just leave that in there. I think I'm going to bury it a little bit. This will add in extra nutrition. So I can throw in leaves. I can throw in even some soil. And I might put a little something in the top. I'm not sure what yet. But right now, nothing can get in it. For now, I'm going to do this. I could put a 2-system, 2-pot, but it's so narrow. I want to make sure it has enough room. We're going to just do it like that. And I can water in there too. That's it. We're done. I was protecting this in case the towee came. I could probably uncover it. There's another watermelon here. I think I can get away with 2 in this tote because let's move this for a minute. I am composting in place here. And what I'm doing is the system where I can just drop things in. And then when I water, I can water this little plant. This plant's got to go in the garden. It's a pepper. But you can have a plant on top, and it's leaching into the soil. I really don't want to disturb this too much. I don't know what's under here. But you'll get the idea. No worms right now. I lifted it earlier, so I probably disturbed the worms. But this is going to feed the soil. And it's going to feed the plant. So I can put all kinds of stuff in here. Brown leaves, anything. If I don't see any brown leaves really right now. But let's say I wanted to do this. Let's say I've got a leaf. All I do is take that off, drop it in, and put it back. That's all I have to do. If I want it to break down quicker, I throw a little bit of soil in there. But it doesn't matter because the more I put in there, everything becomes underneath anyways and it will break down. That's just an easy way of doing it. So we've gone over everything here. The eggplant, see, this is being raised up, so it's got its own pot. There's 2, and the roots were so intertwined, I decided to just leave them, and it seems to be doing good. Same thing here. I am composting in here, see? This is another one of the systems. I just dump things in here and I put the pot back. So I water the pot. No rodents or anything can get in here. And this is got holes on the bottom. You always have holes on the bottom anytime you're doing a compost bin. Not just on the sides, but on the bottom. And it's going to feed all these plants. Let's see, over here. This is a cutting. I don't think I'm even going to bother with this. This I haven't gotten to at all. This is just stuff coming up. Here's more watermelon coming up in paper cups. Got some tomatoes. Peppers. This is that potato mint, and this is defeating the purpose here. So what I'm going to do with the potato mint is I'm going to give it its own tote, probably in the garden, because I want it to spread. I want that to get really big because it grows little tiny potatoes that you could use in soups or any place you'd want little tiny potatoes. So this is not going to work that well in here. And it did really good in here. It was a little tiny cutting I took from Gary, but I'm going to give it its own pot. This is a red Roselle, trying to figure out where in the world I'm going to put it. This is my sweet basil. See, I put a little clothespin on here to remember I grew this from seed. Sweet basil. I love my basil for my pizza. Red vein sorrel was a tiny plant. And there's my purple. Look at this. Also from seed, from the plant I had last year. I collected some seed and just grew a couple, and this is my purple basil. Isn't that cool? Let's walk over here. So you've seen everything really now here, and this is just some more parsley. Let's see, what else is going on here? I'm going to try this squash. I don't even know what kind of squash it is. This is the problem here. It comes up in my compost. See, there's a squash back here. And I don't know if I really want to leave it in here. I don't even know what it is. It's too much in here, really way too much. But if I feed it really good, make a lot of compost tea and feed it, it might grow and I can see what it is. So there's the other watermelon. So I'm going to see what I'm going to decide. I don't know. And I left these old tomatoes from last year. That one came up in a pot. And it could be struggling because it came up in a plastic pot that's buried underneath. I did kind of split the pot a little bit, you know, the brads, but we'll see. But geez, look at all the tomatoes. Then I've got the midnight snack. I've got some sun golds growing here, and then just some plain old, oh, there is a tomato up there. A cherry tomato. There's some more cherry tomatoes. So that's coming up kind of from last year, and I've got to get some more pots on the ground to catch the water coming up. Here's another tomato that's coming up from there, winding around and going up, another cherry tomato. Just from the bottom, it catches the water that's running out of the totes. So we'll see. That is just some wheat seed that I put in a pot, and the dogs nibble on that. So they like that. So I kind of do that once a week. I throw some seeds in a pot, and then they'll come out here and nibble on that. Let's see what else is going on here. Garlic chives in just an old food container. So you can grow food in any container you've got pretty much. This is food grade. This is a baby formula container, but you don't want to leave it here. I've got to move it. Again, you don't want wood being touched by a plastic container or anything, even cement. You wouldn't want to put a block of cement here straight onto it. See how that's lifted up on an old laminating plastic thing I had? That was from my laminator, and I was going to throw it away, but it's got these legs on it. And I looked at it and I thought, gee, all that gets thrown away, that plastic base. I thought, what a waste. It goes to the dump and it doesn't do any good. And then this is a perfect stand. Now, when I water that squash, it will dry out right away. There's airflow. Here's something else I did. I put a table here that was doing no good. I don't have to bend down anymore when I go to water. These are perfect size watering cans. So I got those from the dollar store. I think they were $2. But you know, think about little things that can make your life easier. There's my carrots. These are the little, I don't know how you pronounce them, Persimian, Parsinian, Persirian, I don't know. But they're little tiny, tiny carrots, so we have to get more serious. Those are too small, but they still grew good. Put a tomato in there for now. See, there's stilts on that pot, so the pot's got airflow. And then here, I really haven't done too much either. I've got garlic chives, parsley coming up. This I gotta get rid of. There's nothing in there really to speak of. I don't even remember putting Malabar spinach in there, but obviously it got in there. More parsley and garlic chives. Parsley's going to seed. This is another apple tree. And then here I've got, this is red celery, lettuce. I'm just starting to get my dill going. Watch, the butterflies are going to come lay their eggs and eat up my dill. That's what they usually do. The swallowtails love dill and parsley. That's their favorite. And then they come and they lay all over everything. And I don't have the heart to get rid of them, and I leave them. The birds probably get a few, but I basically leave them. So we'll see what happens with that. And that's all. This is that red celery. Boy, that comes up like a weed now. Look at that. And that's really good. I use a lot of celery. Remember, the leaves are just as good as the stalk, if not better. Health-wise, better. Let's see, what else do I want to show you before we end this? Because I think we've gone over a lot. Sage, that was from the 99-cent store I got early in the year. I got those packets, and there was so much sage in a little packet. That's part of it. I've got it growing all over. I've got it in my garden. I think I've got more, maybe not there. Oh, there's the other one down here. And again, some little squash seed came up. But we'll come back to this one in a minute. Parsley. Got to get something down there because we use every bit of space. Oh, and the tomatoes. Look at that. This is beautiful. Parsley with garlic chives. This doesn't have to be in there. And there's a little mint in there, which is probably not that good because the mint, again, will take over. One of my stevias I brought over here because I figured I should have stevia close by if I want to grab some mint and make mint tea. Because I have different methods of doing it. You can just chop it up and put it in a cup and then strain it and use the water from that. A lot of times I blend it. I do believe I have videos on that. If I don't, remind me, I'll get one up. Been sprinkling lettuce. This is all lettuce coming up. And I think there's some lettuce coming up there. I've got oregano, again, sow thistle. But you know, when I make a green drink, this is totally edible. So this is sow thistle. But I leave that again for the birds. Then it goes to seed. Oregano, like I said, for my pizza. Look at this. This is all lettuce going to seed. Because we're starting to get into warmer weather, they say. And once it gets warm, then the lettuce bolts. So I do have to make sure I collect some seeds. And then there's a little bit of, it's probably celery. Yep, celery. I think there's even a Swiss chard back there. But I can still eat the lettuce. I love the lettuce. The lettuce is great. Once it starts to get like this, it's bitter. You can eat it. You know, some people eat it, but to me it's bitter. I don't like it. Let it do its thing and make it seed, and then I can just sprinkle it. It comes up right away. You can grow it all year here, but it may bolt. So I try to find more of a shady spot, so it'll be a little cooler, so I can get some lettuce. It will be smaller in the summer because it wants to bolt, but you can get some of it to eat. I think there's a tomato back there. Yep, there is a tomato already starting to flower. But see, this is all perfectly fine. When it's soft like that, this is going a little yellow. This is ready to be composted. But this is still good to eat. And just if you're trying to grow lettuce, find the shady, cooler spot in the summer. Pomegranate. A whole bunch of pomegranate trees in there. We will need to talk about that. Easiest thing to grow. They're weeds. Take my word for it. They're weeds. More lettuce going to seed, mint, garlic chives. I've got some walking onions in there. Oh dear. And a fig tree. I don't want a fig tree. I would rather do a cutting. You go and get a piece of branch out of a good tasting fig tree, stick it in some soil, especially your compost where you're composting. It loves it. Put a pot on top of your compost and with soil in it, stick some branches in there, and then, you know, from a fig tree, and it just takes off and grows so fast. It's wonderful. And then tomatillos. These are tomatillos coming up, so I want to string that better. That's a funny looking little tomato. And that's it. Now, let's see, anything else I miss here? Oh, more onions. Okay, let's go over here. I was going to tell you step by step how I did this, but I looked at the video I did because I just put this together and everything's already just starting to grow. Literally put this together days ago. I'm going to put that up separate because it's too long to put up here. This is so easy to do. And let me tell you, you can paint those chairs. Don't let anybody tell you you can't. You can go to Home Depot, Lowe's, get a little tester paint, the color you want, and they paint up beautiful. People throw them away because they start to give off white. I did not paint this one because I wanted to leave it so you could recognize it and see what it is. It's a cheap chair that you put out in your yard, but they paint up beautiful. I've got tons of them painted up. This is a simple chair with a simple tote. You can grow so much in a chair, and I will put the video up separate because, like I said, it is too long. I'm going to have sage growing in here, dill growing in here. All the little specks that are starting to grow, all these little specks are lettuce. These are all lettuce that are coming up. This is the potato mint that I found growing in the upside down planter, and that is the potato. See that? Now this is a tiny plant. Look at the plant. But that's the part you eat. This is the little potato. It's supposed to taste like potato. You cook it like potato. You wouldn't peel it. You'd wash it. But of course I want this one to grow. So I figured I'm going to take care of it. And I'm going to put it back in here. And I'm going to know this potato mint is here. So that is a potato mint. It's in the mint family, but they grow these little bulbils or tubers, and it's totally edible. So I figured since I'm going to cater to this, I found this spot. I cleaned up the deck a little bit, and I looked at it, and I thought, I should put a chair here with a tote. I don't know why I didn't put one on the deck. This is the perfect place. I mean, you could put 1 or 2 totes, and you would have all the extra greens and food you would need as far as produce when you're cooking. Even to add to takeout, if you're buying takeout. You bring home a sandwich, grab some parsley, grab some lettuce. You like basil? Put that in there. You get all the nutrients as something you grew with no spraying, no pesticides, and real vitamins. Nothing stored for weeks and weeks and weeks on a shelf. Real vitamins. And that's why it's important. I'm really going to push that. But here I put some sprouting broccoli, so Kitty will get that. But all that is lettuce seeds that are coming up. This is dill. This literally was planted a couple days ago. Some of them are transplants. I found this little celery growing, so I figured I'd do this. And this is another one of those composts in place. I had some milk or garbage I threw in there. And this is going to go into the soil and constantly feed the soil. Any earthworms in there, even if there's earthworm eggs, they're going to hatch and they're going to thrive in there because of this little compost in place. And this is where I would put things. right in here. You just drop it in. You're not moving anything. So if I was cleaning her up in the garden and I had a bunch of leaves or stuff I want to put in there, or kitchen scraps, you just put it in there and then cover it. Nothing's going to get in there. That's it. So really, you can set this up. You could set up a beautiful zucchini in here, tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, anything you want to grow, okra, watermelon, on a chair. It's off the ground. You got beautiful airflow. So if you're dealing with wood, you've got airflow. You're not going to have any wood rotting from a chair because it will dry out. Remember, I make everything work for me. So I have the holes only in the front, right here. And it is going to water this sage and this whatever it is coming up. But it's going to water that sage. And that sage, I went to a party and they had these tiers for the cake and they were throwing them away. This was a while ago, quite a few years ago. And I said, oh, you're throwing that away? And they said, yes, I want them. That was the whole cake set. Let me see if you can see it. See? So I'll show you in the other video when I put it up. I attached it to a floral pot. You can attach it to a flower pot, anything you want, or even a container, a square container you can buy at the dollar store. And then it lifts it up. So now you've got airflow. Again, I want to emphasize that if you're putting plants on wood, you have to make sure there's airflow on wood, unless you want the wood to break down, because it will break down. It will, just like wood chips, anything in nature, anything that was the earth will go back to the earth. Cement won't. It might get moldy underneath. It might rot a little bit, but it's not going to hurt anything. But wood will retreat to go back to the soil. So you want to have some sort of airflow. I mean, even these upside down planters are slightly off the ground. There's a little bit of airflow underneath those. But when you're setting up, make sure you have airflow. That's the main thing. And that's all. I mean, even here, Gary collected a dishwasher and he had the rack. I brought the rack here and I put the sage on top of the rack. So there's airflow. You want some sort of airflow. I've even used, I don't think I've got it here, coffee lids. The plastic coffee lids, and I've attached those to the bottom because it gives a little bit of airflow. Here I put one on a little table I found, and I'm going to plant something there. But see, that's what you want, is some sort of airflow. And that's all you have to remember. That's the best thing. But if you are just starting, plant something that you're going to have instant gratification. A tree, you're going to wait anywhere from 1 to 7 years. But with parsley, you're going to eat that right away. Garlic chives, right away. Tomatoes, pretty close, right away. So think about that when people ask me. Beans, grow beans. That's really quick too. You can eat that right away, unless you're going to dry them. Oh, so I think that's it, but I want to show you this. Look at this. I wanted to share this with you. I found this yesterday. Do you know what that is? What came up in my soil? Look at that. Well, it didn't come up in the soil. I covered it so I could share that with you. I found it yesterday afternoon. That's a cutting of oregano in there. Let me show you. Oh, she's not here. I should peek. Yes. You got it. She built a nest. Oh, here she comes. All right. Let me leave her alone. Go ahead. Go back to your nest. I'm not going to bother your nest. She built that. My computer's right there. She watches. Oh, there she is. She watches me all day. I didn't even see her do it. I looked up and I thought, what is that clump up there? And she built that nest so fast. She's actually got a baby. She hatched her egg. The shell fell into the chair, as you can see. And that's where I found it. And yes, she's got a baby, but she doesn't want me to mess with her, and I don't blame her. But there she is. Unbelievable. She built it on the lights. I strung the lights up so in the winter when we had some really cold nights, I could leave it on and some of the hummingbirds would hang out. This is an old light set, so it has a little bit of heat to it. It's like 10 years old or older. So very little, but a slight warmth. And then we would see them during the day on cold days hanging out. And I never took it down. I left it. It can be plugged in down there. We have a plug there. But I just left it, and she found it, and she decided, oh, look at that. I am going to make a nest, and that's what she did. So I thought I'd share that with you. This is her 4th nest. I will have to get the story up. This bird built 2 nests at the same time and raised 2 families at the same time. And we thought she was done, and she took the nest apart and she moved it. Yes, I do believe she's the one that has been nesting in my kitchen window for 2 years in a row. She likes the house, and why not? She's got all the food she likes. You know, she's got the nectar, and let me show you what else she's got. And she gets angry if she thinks I'm going to move it. I brought this out. This is usually by the kitchen sink. Watch. See if you see a puff of fruit flies. You see the fruit flies? Gary's got rotting papaya and stuff in here. Even though it's sitting like that, see, it's got space. That's her other food source. And when she found out I was bringing out the buckets and forgetting about them because I was setting this up and not using them right away, and there were fruit flies coming out, she was like, whoa, that's the mother lode. She said, I've got nectar here, I've got fruit flies, her insects, she's got it all because they live on insects too. And that's why she built a nest there, because she's got fruit flies, she's got place to go fly, she's got her hummingbird feeders. I mean, what else could she possibly want? And she's out of the rain. Look at her. She has this look like, leave me alone. Unbelievable. But that's what's going on. And in case somebody's going to say, what is that up there? Gary put that there. And that is just a piece of metal he hammered onto the roof. And why? He did not want, to be perfectly honest, any rats coming up on the deck, climbing up the wire, because he figured out that was the way they can get into the roof. And now they can't because they cannot climb over that slippery sheet metal there. So that's why that is there. And I have not heard any rats in the roof since he's done that. But that's it. I wanted to share it with you, my garden. Please do a garden. This is my goal in life, is to get everybody to do something. I now have my brother with a full-size garden. I can't believe it. My daughter with a beautiful yard for the past 20 years. She just put in a garden last year. Their garden is massive. She's growing so much stuff, I can't believe it. She got a lot from us, but she has purchased a lot of seeds and plants online. They love their garden. And being on lockdown, her and her husband, the kids, everybody got involved. I think it's really him. I think he really got into it. He had made a statement that working in the garden was like getting a really good workout, because he did it in the soil. They dug and he cleaned it all up the yard, and they've got a beautiful garden. Tomatoes, all kinds of squash, all kinds of greens and everything. I don't even know. I can't even go over everything. So I'm really excited to know that my family finally has got a garden going. My sister's starting the garden now. She even joined some garden club online through work. And that really, really makes me feel great. So I hope you enjoyed this. I know it's too long, but I wanted to go over a lot of little ideas and tips. And I will get the chair video up separate, because some of you may want to see how I set it up. And with this, I'm going to set one up really cute. I haven't done it yet, but I will soon. You can paint this and make it look really cute if it's on a pretty balcony, a pretty deck, a pretty front yard, by your front door. You can really fix it up. Paint this purple or red. Red's inviting. Paint it green if you want it to blend in. Or if your house is beige or brown, paint it brown. And then get a nice tote. You can use a bucket, but you have a little bit more surface space with a tote. Nothing is wrong with a bucket. And if anybody's going to ask, and I've had a couple people ask about the plastic. Plastic can break down at over 140 degrees. Let me tell you something. Soil is always cooler, be it in the ground or containers, than the air. So if you've got your soil hitting 140 degrees, I guarantee you, you will be worrying about a lot more than your garden at that point. So you're fine. It was the water bottles that people were leaving in the cars. They were leaving in their trunks. I actually found out one of my family members did that. They would leave water bottles in cases for months in the back of their car or in their trunks, so they would have water. Well, your car, that's where it's going to leach. Your car can get up to 180 degrees inside, and then you would be drinking that water that's been sitting there for months? No. They found out that is not the way to go. So don't worry about that. Plastic is our world. It's better to use these than to send them to the dump. You want to recycle Yes, I'm leaving in a second. Yes, she's just watching me. You want to recycle as much as you can. Food containers, milk containers. You can grow parsley and garlic, chives, and everything in food containers, walking onions. There's so much you could do. So I think I better go. She wants me out of here. And I'll see if I can do a peek. But I tried yesterday, and I really don't want to upset her. And look, you can just start your seeds easy. This is a lazy way of starting them. Squish a tomato, and you end up with all these tomatoes. And tomatoes separate really, really easy like lettuce. So this is what I do. I get lazy. I do it paper cups. I do it a lazy way. I do it all different ways. Do it whatever works for you. Take something I've done, turn it around, and make it better and make it work for you. Because that's what life is all about. Making your life easy. Because if you make your garden hard, you won't do it. You want to make sure it's fun and easy so it becomes a lifetime garden where you want to build on it and do good things, and you'll feel better for it. People say you have a lot of energy. Let me tell you something. When I was eating a lot of junk food, I didn't have this energy, okay? I'm eating food from the garden, and I've always been energetic. I don't like sitting down, but I can feel the difference, and I do slack off myself sometimes, and I have to get back and eat more from the garden, and it doesn't have to be a lot, because a little goes a long ways when it comes to fresh food. With that, have a wonderful day. And don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye, everybody. Kitty, you want some broccoli? Kitty. Molly, you don't like broccoli. Here. Ugh, she said. You think so? Nope. I didn't think so. She's not a green eater. Oh, Molly, where's Kitty?